Hello and welcome to another episode of Reworked. I'm Dave, and in today's video we're going to be installing a refurbished heater box in the 71-2002. I ran into a couple of issues in this install. I'll summarize them here and then go into them in detail in the video. One issue was the sliders on my refurbished box were apparently the part for a 74, 75, or 76 car. And they have a larger dimension between the sliders on the left side than the earlier cars, and the opening in the sheet metal of the dash on the earlier cars is not wide enough. So I ended up having to use the left sliders from my original heater box and transplant them onto the cables of the refurbished box. The other difficulty I encountered in installing the box was that you have this new foam gasket that you have to keep in place while getting the box up against the firewall, and it wants to move. And the gentleman who built these refurbished boxes, he uses wire ties to hold the gasket in place, but at some point you have to cut the wire tie and hope the gasket is still in place while you get the hole in the gasket and the hole in the bracket over the stud and the firewall. So that took a little bit of effort, trial and error. So my car also had a block-off plate that covered two 38mm holes in the firewall that I assume were from an earlier air conditioning installation. The car doesn't have air conditioning now, so I needed to plug those. I bought some solid grommet plugs at AutoZone, and those worked very well. And then I put the block-off plate back behind them because I didn't want any air coming through the holes that the block-off plate bolts had mounted to. So I did the block-off plate repair, the plugging of the firewall, and then went into installing the heater box, going through the issues with getting the keeping the foam in place, and then eventually moved on to installing the sliders, where I found the problem where the slider that came with my refurbished box was for a later model. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll go through all the details on those issues and get this box installed. Here's the renovated 2002 heater box that I just received. It's got a completely reconditioned valve, a new fan motor, and the box has been cleaned up. The core looks brand new, but it may just be cleaned and pressure checked. Either way, should work like brand new. And this is a 3-slide box because my car has the fan switch on the dash rather than as the 4th slider. So I'm going to go ahead and install this now. Alright, I've got to get the heater box up to the 2 studs that hold it to the firewall. When I pulled it out, it was tight to the glove box. The manual says to remove the glove box, which I didn't do. So I'm hoping I can reverse the process and get this up to the firewall without having to take the glove box out or without damaging anything. Before I removed the heater box, I had felt cold wind coming from under the heater box, and I didn't know if it was from the seal around the heater box itself, but when I got the box out, I saw this homemade cover plate, and it had areas that weren't caulked, whatever this caulking material is. So I took it off, and there's these 2 38mm holes, which I assume must be factory air conditioner line openings. I looked at my other parts 2002 bodies and I don't see it on any of those. But anyway, I went looking for a 38 millimeter plug, and Advanced Auto Part had a set that included 1.5 inches, which is very close. And so this one I already put in, and you can see it doesn't really want to completely conform at the bottom where it gets thicker, but I think this is going to hold just fine. I'm going to put the other one here. Here's what it looks like. It's got a, its outside is notably bigger than the hole, but it's got this rim, or this slit around the outside. So I think it's just a touch too big, but it seems to work. So next I'm going to clean all this stuff off of the metal, and I'm going to screw the metal back in for two reasons. One, to press against this plastic and make sure it doesn't pop out, and secondly, to fill the two screw holes. Try not to leave any more leaks than I have to. So after I get that done, I'll be able to resume fitting the refurbished heater box. Okay, I'm going to try to put the second one in. And I've heated it up a little, holding it in my hands and holding it near a warm shop light to try to make it a little more pliable. Okay, so now I have it started at the top. Then you have to kind of crunch it up to make it narrower. And you work it around, working with the edge where the bead is on. You don't want to push it all the way through. That's what happened at this point on the first one. It popped all the way through and I had to back up and start over. All right. So I moved the spot with the problem now up to the top where it's thinner. Don't know if that'll help or not. Oh, there we go. Presumably it did help. Here's the ground for the heater fan. That's got to be on the left, bolted to the left stud. Alright, now I'm ready to put the heater box back in, and hopefully I can get it past the edge of the glove box. Doesn't look like it can fit in just going straight. Looks like maybe it has to come. Oh, no, I'm scratching. Great. Scratched my dash. Maybe I have no choice but to take the glove box out. Alright. Guess that's what I'm going to do. So, glove box seems to be 3 screws down here. They're 7mm screws. heater duct is a little bit in the way, but I'm not gonna mess with it because the other one broke when I was taking it out. Okay. All right. Alright, so now with the glove box out, we'll have more room. Kind of looks like the space for the fan is what the glove box. Huh. It's funny, it came out a lot easier than this, and I didn't have the glove box out. Bend this a little out of the way. Okay. There's got to be a better way than that, because I'm afraid I bet this little rail here, I hope it bends back without breaking from cyclic fatigue. I wonder if I've got the whole angle wrong. It doesn't look like it can rotate to get into place. Yeah, the fan is hitting on the underside of the opening in the firewall. So I guess it has to come back out and go in already rotated. I don't know how you... That's partially rotated. Okay, there we go. Did I just break something? No. Okay. Get one of these 10mm nuts. It's hung on the left side on some wiring. So I've got it temporarily on nut over here. I'm going to go to the driver's side. That's going to be difficult. Just because the console and the wiring are in the way. Okay, so now I have to get the box up into place, then cut the wire tie. I don't know that I can. I'm gonna cut the wire tie first. Great, now the foam is gone off somewhere. Okay, there it is. Alright. Now I'm going to get it holding the box in place with my left hand. Tightening the nut with my right hand. Now I got to go to the other side and see if I can get the foam gasket in place to tighten that one. Alright, so this is the passenger side, and I don't feel the foam there, so I'm going to have to take off the nut and lower it and try to pull the foam into position. Well, I guess the question is, I think that foam does have to go over or outside of the stud. It went over the stud on the other side. Don't really want to loosen it too much on the other side, but it's gotta be loosened. Okay, that's about all I can loosen the driver's side. No, it's not a good spot at the top. It is sagging way off the bottom. Okay, so I have it up there at the top. Have it lined up at the bottom. I think that's good. I hope that's good, because with the old seal on the old heater box, this did leak air from the outside, unless it was those poorly done air conditioner cutoff blockout holes. Okay, so to know okay, now the old one did not have a hose clamp here. All right, so that side's done. Okay, so now I'm going to put the driver's side hose for the defrost on. This is a replacement hose. It's plastic. The old one was some sort of paper material. I'm not sure how far on it is, but it seems sturdy enough, so I'll give it a little twist, tighten it. And the other end, here, the other end goes to this vent here. There we go. This one didn't come with a hose clamp, and I don't remember there being one on it before. Okay. Okay. And now the ground wire and the final nut. All right. All right, there we go. Finally tight. Relatively tight. Okay, so the ground wire's on. Now I need to hook up the electric, the three connectors, electrical connectors to the front of the box. So looking at the wiring, I went back and checked a picture from when I took this apart, and the brown one is the ground, and these three go black and blue goes in the farthest to the left of the triangle. So black and blue goes to the single one. Okay. Now the top one is green and yellow. It's just very difficult to get a angle where you can both see it and get your hand on it. All right, so that only leaves ground wire, which is the different type of connector. It's a male connector with the female on the blower motor. And lastly, red and blue. Well, I guess it's fully connected. I can see it. All right, the next step is to install the two sliders into their spots in the dash. All right, I'm working on the right screw of the right-hand slider. Okay, now it's turning. All right, finally tightened up. Tighten both of them up. Then the slider face snaps back in. The slider handle nub snaps back on. And that one is done. Okay, so the two sliders on this side. That's not going to work. I'm not even sure that this is the right part. So I ran into a problem trying to install the left slider on that refurbished heater box. I didn't know, and the person I bought the refurbished box from didn't know, that the early cars have a smaller opening in the sheet metal of the dash than the later cars. And also the offset, the one slider that has the vertical offset, is on the underside of the plate in the direction that the bend to the mounting points goes in the later ones. So I'm going to have to take this one off of the cables and put it on the cables that are in the box that is now installed in the car. So the first thing to do is pop the springy ends of the cables off of these nubs. You just pry it gently with a flathead and they'll pop right off. Next I'm going to undo these 8mm bolts, and then I'll take this set of slider and brackets to the car and swap it with the later model that's attached to the heater box. So I'm going to perform this transplant surgery with it still installed in the car, because the installation of the box, the heater box, to the firewall was sufficiently unpleasant that I am not willing to repeat it. So I'm going to try to make this happen inside the car. So here's popping off it tends to go like pops up one spring or one coil at a time, so you do it 2 or 3 times. Oh, that one came off as one. Alright, now 8mm socket. You don't have to take it all the way off to swap the cables. Just got to get enough slack. Let's see if this will go now. There's one. There's 2. All right. Now I have to verify which one is the top. All right. This one is the top. This cable is the top. All right, so apparently I wasn't recording all of what I thought I was recording, but I just installed, this is the lower, this should be the heat for the floor cable. First I popped that on, and then I put this under the bracket and tightened it down. Now on this side for the defrost, I've done the same thing, but it occurred to me that on this one it was obvious where the bracket held the sheath of the cable, so that we're at the right distance, that we have the right range in the pull. as far as what the valve on the other end does. So now I've got to loosen this other one back up a little and look at the sheath. Kind of make sure that I have it in the right spot. I think I do. Yeah, it was in the right spot. There's the area that was compressed by the previous installation. So these are 8mm bolts, nuts. All right, so now it should hung up on the cables. Okay. Now I just got to get the mounting screws. Lined up with holes in the brackets. Doing this blind, but it seems like I'm lucky and the left one has lined up. The right one here was a problem at removal. It's like the dash padding is a little out of alignment with the actual cutout of the metal of the dash. So this screw is, well, it's not tight, but at least it's started. All right, I keep looking back to find my camera has fallen over, so I got this one tightened up. Now if I can tighten the one on the right, that was the bigger problem. All right, I got that tight, and got the bezel, and I looked up pictures to see, make sure I knew which direction the thicker part went. So I just snapped the bezel into place. So there's one. All right. Now I need to attach the coolant hoses to the back of the, or really the front of the heater box under the cowling. This is the inlet hose that has the heater valve. Here's the hose coming from the back of the engine. Kind of have to do this blind. I can either look at it or reach it. Okay, that's the inlet. Now we'll go do the outlet. Here's the outflow hose down here under the cowling in front of the driver. with the windshield wiper motor in the way, I'm not going to be able to film putting this on, but it's just like the other one, a plain hose clamp. This one just doesn't have the heater valve on this side. Alright, can't actually film the detail of the work, but here we'll have a wider shot. So this hose has a lot more slack than the other one. At least has more hose inside the cowling. I want to make sure that I have a good amount of hose over the pipe. Yeah, that's more than adequate. Okay. All right. So those are both on. Now I need to reinstall the radiator. All right, here's the radiator back from the radiator shop. It's not going to win any beauty contests, but it does have the leak fixed. Up here, you can see the solder or whatever metalwork that's called. All right, found the 4 screws, not bolts, for coarse threaded, looks like self-tapping metal screws with washers. And they're probably 8mm. All right, got my 8mm socket. Bottom right's got plenty of room, nothing around it. The bottom left looks like it's going to be the toughest one to reach. Bottom left. Battery tray and alternator kind of in the way, and then I can do it from below, but I'll have to clean up the drip pan with the spilled coolant to get down there. Okay, so I found a reasonable length extension with which to get to bottom left. Also, it has a wobble head on it. Alright, both on this side are now tight. Alright, I'm going to go find the lower hose, and then I'll put that on. So when I went to install the lower radiator hose, which will go here, I felt that the pipe was closed off. You can see a huge amount of calcium or other gunk blocking it, so I'm going to clean this up. And then, because it doesn't look all that great, I'm going to have to pay close attention to whether the thermostat inside is still actually working when I get this thing back together. I finished cleaning up the old thermostat. Got all of the crusty goop of rust and scale, and I don't know what else that was in it. But I'm not sure that this thermostat is healthy. Car ran cold, so I'm wondering if it's sticking open. But I'm going to go ahead and put it on today and then order new thermostat and new hoses. A lot of rust and scale. I'll put the before and after pictures to show it clearly. So it goes here with 3 connections. The one on the bottom goes to the lower radiator connection, and then one here, and then one you can see back there. Now for the moment, start it up, see if I have any leaks, and then see whether the fan will come on now, and then see if it'll eventually produce heat. Yeah, there we go. Yep, 3 speeds. Here on my control panel, I'm getting air with everything to the left. I had just assumed that to the right was what it would have been on, but I guess maybe that's not necessarily true. I'll have to look into that. But I do have fanned air, and now I can get out and see if I have any coolant leaks. Check here at the cowl. Nothing. Uh-oh. There is a little leak on this side. Alright, so water, you can see it dripping there. Water's coming out around that valve. And it looked to me like it might be coming from the plate with the arrow on it as opposed to my hose. But maybe it is just my hose. So I'm going to tighten everything up. So I tightened the top screw there on the plate, and I tightened the hose. The hose seemed tight already, so I don't know if it had anything to do with it, but the top screw there on that plate definitely needed to be tightened some, and doesn't seem to be leaking now. I don't see any leaks in the radiator hoses, or the radiator, which just got fixed for a leak and cleaned and pressure tested. So the car ran cold before I fixed the heater fan and the radiator leak, and apparently the flow blockage in the radiator. So I suspect the thermostat is stuck open, but good news for today's work is I am getting heat here through the vents, and the fan is working and there's no coolant leak. So fairly successful. I'll order a new thermostat and replace it, and then the car hopefully will be fully healthy. So that concludes this episode on the fixing of the cooling system of the car and the heater box. I got a restored heater box that has a working fan, and I have had a radiator shop fix the leak in the top left corner of the radiator. They also said there was a major blockage inside that it took them a while to clear out of what they said was calcium. Then we found all that calcium and rust plug in the thermostat, and although I cleaned it up and put it back in to see whether I have any leaks, I am going to buy a new thermostat and new hoses. So for now, the heater box works, the sliders work. I've got warmish air coming out where I direct it to with the sliders. Engine's not coming up to temperature because of what I think is the stuck open thermostat, so I'm not getting really hot air. And the one lesson learned along the way was that the early 2002s, this one's a 71, have a smaller opening in the sheet metal of the dash for the slider controls on the left side of the dash that control whether the air goes to the defrost or to the floor. So later cars had a almost double height opening in the sheet metal of the dash. So try to buy the correct one for your car. I was able to take the sliders off of my broken heater box and attach them to the cables on the restored heater box. That wasn't very difficult, but I was lucky that I had not yet mailed this one back in as a core, because then I would have had to try to either have it shipped back or at least have the slider assembly shipped back, or find a parts car to get one. Thanks for watching this episode. Hope it's useful, if not entertaining. Please subscribe, like, or share, and I'll see you in the next video.